Hello everyone, welcome back to GGN. This is part 2 for this news bulletin today. We're going to continue with Big Brother news. And if you get a chance, you can check out my website, ggnonline.com. And the news archive actually goes all the way back to 2009, so go in there and check that out. Also on YouTube, it's DDarko 2012 and DDarko 2013, so thank you. Okay, so we just covered that video as far as workers' rights going. And I like how they were singing "We're Not Afraid" and that. I think it was kind of ad hoc, but they didn't sound like zombies, did they? They didn't sound like they were at Occupy zombies. They were just people that were young and old and just tired of being treated like machines, like robots. And that's what the elites want. They want good, old-fashioned robots. They don't question anything. They don't ask to be treated like human beings, right? And I just covered about how they're scaling more of them down and more and down. They're asking them to do more, right? So they don't even have enough people to stock the shelves. Activists warn to watch what they say. It's social media monitoring becomes the next thing in law enforcement. And I just saw something about today about how, it was a representative in Tennessee. I think he was running for office, and he had like a picture of his gun, and he said something about "Welcome to Tennessee, President Obama," or something like that. Probably wasn't too bright to do, because you should just know that you live in a police state, that everything is monitored, and so that tweet got right under the radar of the Secret Service, and he got a call or whatever from the Secret Service just for a tweet. And all he was saying was to respect, we respect our right to defend ourselves and to hold firearms. But they monitor everything. You can be rest assured of that. They've probably been doing it since phones were invented. John Cooper said that the police are monitoring key activists online and that officers and the courts are becoming increasingly savvy when it comes to social media. The activists must watch what they say on the likes of Facebook and Twitter sites, which will become the next big thing in law enforcement. The next big thing. It is the big thing. And it was created by CIA front companies to basically, monitor people. That's what it was for. And people think it's a big joke, The people involved in the protest should use media for their strengths, but it goes on, it says that they should not use them for things like discussing tactics. For example, if anti-fascist organizers were discussing their plans on social media, they can assume that the fascist organization will be watching. Social media sites are the last place you want to post something like that. These activists are putting themselves at more risk, mostly because police are becoming savvy. They know how to use them to keep up with rioting and to find alleged rioters. Yeah, and I remember covering this. It was an actual video from like CBS News of the police with a bunch of, monitors, of course. And they were saying that they were using the information coming straight from the Occupy protesters to control them, to manage them. Also in the UK, when they had the, quote, riots, when people were looting and stuff like that, what did you have? Well, you had people getting prosecuted like 6 months afterwards. So just imagine that, dude. Just imagine the resources that they have and the time. No, not to prevent things from happening, not to get real murdering motherfuckers, right? And stuff like that. No, they're going to be searching through thousands of hours of footage of some dude stealing a television or something like that, or something like that in a store 6-8 months after it happened. Everyone who attended Occupy Wall Street with a cell phone had their identity logged, says security expert from September 22nd. He's talking about privacy is dead. Goes on and says where you work, your salary, criminal history, lawsuits, real estate property, everything you've ever purchased, wherever you've been, your information is worth money, and it's not Big Brother, it's being invaded by a big marketer. So just like the smoking, right, with the insurance companies, it's all about that. And who knows, insurance companies will be running the world here if they're not already. Lots of talk is about big corporations and their hunger for data about all of us. But he says this Ramden also addresses government spying. He says, I can tell you that everybody that attended Occupy Wall Street protests and didn't turn their cell phones off or put it, and sometimes even if they did, the identity of that cell phone has been logged, and everybody who was at the demonstration, whether they protested or not, are not arrested, whether their photos were ID'd, whether an informant pointed them out, it's known that they were there anyways. And he says this is routine. He says if you try going to a police station, they'll say, "Oh, I'm sorry, you're not allowed to bring a cell phone in there. We'll hold it for you." And he says it's not a joke. By the way, it's a legitimate investigator technique, but cell phones are now the little snitch in your pocket, and they can tell me where you are, what you do, what you talk to, and everybody you associate with. And the links will be posted. You can go in there and check it out in YouTube's description if you want to watch that video. Justice Department's warrantless spying increased 600% in a decade. This is the original orders chart from 1998 to 2012, climbing from trap and trace, which is a little over zero, up to about 20,000. The Justice Department use of warrantless internet and telephone surveillance methods known as pen register and trap and trace has exploded in the last decade, according to government documents the ACLU obtained via Freedom of Information. Pen registers obtain in real time non-content information of outbound telephone and internet communication, such as phone numbers dialed, sender and recipient, the subject of the email messages, and a trap and trace acquires the same information but for inbound communications to a target. No probable cause warrant is needed to obtain the data, and judges are required to sign off these orders when the authorities say the information is relevant to an investigation. So from 2001 to 2011, the latest year for which the data is available, the number skyrocketed to 37,000 from 5,000, a more than six-fold increase. And lastly, though these can be used to track email, the vast majority are used to get information on a mobile phones, users, phone calls, and text messages. Then you have the military smartphone malware is designed to steal your life. The U.S. Naval Surface Warfare Center has created an Android application that secretly records your environment and reconstructs it as a 3D virtual model for malicious users to browse. Examples include software that listens for spoken credit card numbers or uses the onboard accelerometers to monitor credit card details entered as keystrokes. Says it's no surprise smartphones are increasingly targeted by malware designed to exploit this newfound power, which is horrible, right? Because I mentioned this before about people that complain about other people smoking. What about people that have these cell phones all around you, you know, with the cameras and the microphones? It's like, I don't want to be around that, but you don't have a choice. And that's what the Brave New World is all about, is being forced into this. So it's pretty sneaky stuff. It says it created the app to be running in the background of any smartphone. It says it can be embedded in a camera application that the user would download and run, a process that would give the malware the permission it needs to take photos and send them. Also, it says the malware mutes the phone as the photos are taken to hide the shutter sound. What's more, the 3D models made it vastly easier for malicious users to steal information from the personal office space than from the raw photos online. They're talking about these little, taking all of them together and making it into a room, and then you can go in there, and, like the article says, and browse the space looking for objects worth stealing and sensitive data. Watch your tongue as law enforcement's speech recognition system stores millions of voices. Intercepting thousands of phone calls is easy for government agencies, but quickly analyzing the calls and identifying the callers can prove a difficult task. But now one company believes it has solved the problem, a Russian company, I believe, with a countrywide biometric database designed to store millions of people's voice prints. So it's called Voice Grid Nation, and it uses biometrics and algorithms to match identities to voices. It says the idea enables authorities to build up huge database containing up to several million voices of known criminals, persons of interest, dissenters, people on a watch list. It's everybody. It's everybody. There's going to be anybody excluded from this stupid fucking list. It just, I'm sorry, it just kind of ticks me off when I read articles like that where people are just so naive and they write that stuff, you know? It's like, come on, dude. It's like, if you can imagine that it's possible, they're most likely 80% chance plus that they're already doing it. Law enforcement snooping on your Wi-Fi is now literally part of the training. The DHS, or Department of Homeland Security, will scan or grope the bodies at airports whether you like it or not. And cameras will scan your face and behavior in the streets. Your phone calls are being intercepted and fed into a major FBI database for threat analysis. Don't forget the NSA thing, NSA hub complex spy center in Utah? And now the DHS's Federal Law Enforcement Training Center has requested something besides an ungodly amount of ammunition: the ability to locate and read the data or phone calls from your home. This is interesting because it's in Glencoe, Georgia. Yeah, I believe that's where they train some of the IRS agents. It says SRT Wireless. It's a commercial law enforcement company within the SRT groups, helps federal, state, local law enforcers do their jobs better with investigative technologies. This is from their, I guess, their website. It says it's a leading provider of Wi-Fi signal technology and training for police purposes, including access point and station discovery, surveillance, interception, and targeting. Due to the sensitive nature of this business, we require all visitors to be registered before accessing further information. Again, engineered consent, right? Drivers accept monitoring devices to earn discounts on auto insurance. Pay as you drive or usage-based insurance is simple enough. It says safer drivers should pay less for auto insurance, right? That sounds pretty cool. But unfortunately, it's most likely going to have a GPS device in there. They say it won't, but like I said, you can go ahead and be naive. Like cell phones, if they have GPS built in to them in order to be tracked or located by the cell towers, then obviously they've always had GPS devices in them. But yeah, they're just starting it now. Yeah, see, yeah, they just it's a new thing. They're starting to track cell phones now. No, the sheeple are just starting to find out about it. New tracking frontier license plates. They don't have the whole article here because it's Wall Street Journal. But it says here this individual for 2 years photographed his Toyota Tercel. And it says here they had shots of him cruising along the Estadillo Avenue near the library, parked at his friend's house or the coffee shop he likes. In one case, they snapped a photo of him and his 2 daughters getting out of the car in the driveway. Mr. Kotz isn't charged with or suspected of any crime. Well, he doesn't need to be. Local police are tracking his vehicle automatically using cameras mounted on a patrol car that record every nearby vehicle license plate, time, and location. Why are they keeping it? Well, because you have a heartbeat, because you are a slave. Feds snoop on social network accounts without warrants. Well, they don't need a warrant, like I said, right? So the Justice Department report shows real-time surveillance targeting social networks and email providers jumped 80% from 2010 to 2011. And he says the ACLU says the current law doesn't protect Americans' privacy. So you need more laws to protect your freedoms. You need laws to protect your freedom. You don't need your ability to protect your freedom or the freedom to protect your freedom. You just need laws. You need politics. You need douchebag politicians that are thousands of miles away. You know, if you think about it in hindsight, what is it? 100 senators, 300 congressmen, the vice president and president. I mean, we're talking about less than 300 people running 300 million people. I mean, who really has the power here? Well, through people being naive and stupid and believing in the state as far as it works for you and believing that organized spirituality or religion will work for you, you have these other people that follow other religions, the dark religions and stuff like that, and the great work. They're called Freemasons, and that's actually who's running the show, partly. So why are the Freemasons collecting the children's DNA? Well, because they're patenting it, and you're going to eventually have to pay for your DNA. So why is an exclusive group collecting our children's DNA with support of police and the government across the USA and Canada? You know them as the Masani chip, or perhaps you've been led to believe it was a state and provincial endeavor intended to protect your little ones. They say they set up fairs, forge partnerships with law enforcement, and even strive to distribute their services to the North American public schools. Remember the Freemasons, they don't even have addresses on their lodges, right? Whereas most slaves, they have numbers attached to their prison cells because you live in a prison. Just like the pentagrams that the law enforcement wears, they serve their master or their deity Baphomet, which is a goat, right? An androgynous goat. And they're a fraternal order, right? The Fraternal Order of Police. So they have a lot in common with the order of the Freemasons and stuff like that. The professor says drones will soon be able to kill during war without human assistance. So just like the Walmart workers, you got to phase out the human element of killing as well. It is not my belief that an unmanned system will be able to be perfectly ethical in the battlefield, but I am convinced that they can perform more ethically than human soldiers are capable of. They're talking about killing women and children and just regular civilians. Out of the 343 drone strikes total since 2004, 291 were under Obama. 400 to 800 were civilians, and of those, 176 were children. A U.S. study says drone strikes kill, maim, and traumatize too many civilians. Maybe it would be better when robots are doing it autonomously, right? Army says social network use is a sign of radicalism. Now I've said we're all basically terrorists in the eyes of them, right? We're all guilty. So this terrorism assessment is from the U.S. Army's Asymmetric Warfare Group in 2011. And it made some traits are complaints about bias, like the media, needs empowerment, socially withdrawn, believes in government conspiracies to the point of paranoia, is frustrated with mainstream ideologies, lacks positive identity with country, unit, family, or friends. But we do know that vets are looked at as possible terrorists by the Fed, so this is GGN and I'm Darko.